Today, we have a massive update on the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Where is it going to go? Is it New York or is it Toronto? Plus, we're also going to check out what Juan Soto can get on the free agent market. And to wrap this all up on his jam-packed edition of Mets Digest, Sean Manaea looking very much the Mets ace. What is he going to do at the end of this season? What's going on, everybody? My name is Flobo Boyce, and look, we don't have time for pleasantries. Just want to say thank you so much for checking out Mets Digest, your one-stop shop for Mets content all around the planet. But do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Don't be one of those jerks out there just consuming content without being the first to know when new videos drop. Myself alongside Mike D'Angelo. We love the team. We love you checking out the team. We want to be able to give you everything that is orange and blue. All right, y'all, look, what hasn't been said about the Juan Soto character? If you've been living under a rock, the man is having the season of his career, and everybody wants to know where he's going to be at free agency. And so before we get into the update today, here's another look at his updated stats to the minute here over the Mets Digest Stats Department. Shout out to them. The guy is just on fire and still not even 26 years old. The whole world is his oyster, which means any team that tries to sign him will have to sign not only for the bag, as the kids say, definitely the length as well. Lock this man up to his 40 because even a Juan Soto working at 75% is still pretty good, still pretty better than most of the league. So I was perusing the internet today, and Bob Nightingale, who is a very legitimate writer, and I say this with all due respect for USA Today, he's not a geek off the street. He's a regulator, so he's earned his keep. But he was saying some things that gave me a little bit of pause about the whole Juan Soto thing. I guess he's kind of frustrated the fact that it looks like Juan is on everyone's mind. Everyone wants to sign him. Everyone will be a fool not to at least try. But he said something I thought was pretty interesting. This comes from USA Today. I'm going to read it to you. It says, please, enough with the narrative that the Washington Nationals will try to sign Juan Soto and bring him back into the organization. He's signing with the New York Yankees or the New York Mets. Although the Toronto Blue Jays and perhaps the San Francisco Giants will at least make an attempt. What? We get the Yankees. He's on the team now. He's the number 2 option offensively, sometimes number 1 option. The city loves him. Roll call loves him. I get that. We get the New York Mets. Our outfield is solid, but we would love to have some anchors there alongside Nimmo, who's also someone there for a long-term contract. You can't deny that it would be an upgrade if you kept him offensively and defensively, even though he's really known for more of his offense than his defense. I get that. But the Giants and the Blue Jays? What? First of all, the Giants are a hot mess. I don't want to knock on another franchise because they have passionate fans too, but the season has not gone the way they haven't gone. But the Toronto Blue Jays are a bad reason altogether. I don't want to break this down. I don't want to dunk on the Blue Jays, but I want to bring out something that is very important for free agents looking to go and play in Canada. In fact, this is actually from an article that came out a couple months ago in the hockey world over at The Athletic, because I'm a fan of one of the players I watched growing up, John Tavares, who was a New York Islander who went to the Toronto Maple Leafs to play hockey over there, and is basically getting raked over the coals with taxes. Now, the tax laws are pretty much interesting in Canada. Actually, here's an excerpt from that article. This one's called Anywhere But Canada is actually the name of the article from The Athletic. It says, a U.S. person, so not necessarily a citizen, is subject to tax on their worldwide income. That applies if you're a U.S. citizen, a green card holder, or meet the criteria defined by a formula for residency. Juan Soto is from the Dominican Republic, but he does have assets here in the United States. In Canada, you're considered a resident for tax purposes if you spend 183 days a year in the country, which was pretty much the baseball season. So the regular season is about 162 games over 180 some odd days. If you have facts and circumstances that tie you to Canada, residents are subject to tax in Canada on their worldwide income. Now, the article itself goes into big detail about how that can get messy. But if you're a young buck like Juan Soto is, you want to maximize your earning potential. In fact, if you do a franchise per franchise comparison, there really is a penalty for going across the border. That's just why the Toronto Blue Jays will never not never, will not get any free agent from this recent class unless they have loopholes for the law. In fact, Tavares, the example that I used from the hockey world, is in a dispute between him and the state of New York because he basically paid taxes twice on things. So if I am Juan Soto, I'm trying to get the bag, trying to get the max amount of money. Yeah, I understand New York teams have state tax, and he'd probably get more money if he was in like Florida, which doesn't have any income tax. But I'll be honest with you, you want to stay stateside with the other 29 clubs. But yeah, the fact that the Giants and the Blue Jays are even in that mix to me was like, Bob, what are you doing? What? I go back to Tommy Pham. Here's someone that is kind of a folk hero. You either love him or hate him. Last season, after being let go by the Diamondbacks, got an offer from the Padres and turned it down because of California's income tax laws. Taxes are important. People taking money out of your purse, you're going to be very, very cognizant of that. And so he's to kind of bounce around. He played with Chicago, St. Louis, and now eventually the Royals. So to me, it was all kind of interesting that that was what he was saying there. And also from The Athletic today, as I record this, was a little bit of a number crunch. Gotta give a shout out to Tim Britton over at The Athletic. He covers the Mets franchise over at that publication. He was really walking through us and trying to understand what it would look like if someone were to sign Juan Soto, Mets or otherwise. He says Soto can aim for a 14-year deal, say judges $40 million per season. That would give him $560 million total. Or you can go with both records with something like a 12-year deal at $45 million per season or $540 million total. We have kicked around that $500 million number before. Shout out to Shohei Ohtani setting the market. But $500 million for Juan Soto is seeming more and more likely. And if you want to get that money, you want to get as much of that money as possible. I got to go back. I know it sounds kind of like a circle situation, but the Mets and Yankees are the only two franchises I can think of being in that neighborhood. The Giants have a lot more things they have to worry about. The Blue Jays, it's just totally a tax hit if you were to even think about going to Canada. I really got to say that we have a good chance. In fact, before I move on to Sean Manaea, let me know what you think about this idea, Juan Soto being just kind of essentially stuck in New York, whether he's going to be in pinstripes or the other pinstripes is up to you. But yeah, it's not to be for me, but also Bob Nightingale's also been going double time because he did mention this blurb about Sean Manaea. Here is somebody, Sean Manaea, for example, has been an ace for us. We were looking for him to be an ace, which is also good after having a rocky spring. Was able to really lock himself in and just been lights out over the past 2 months, even splitting before and after the All-Star break. And even though he has a year option, everyone's pretty much pointing to him to decline that option to go into free agency where he should get paid. Bob Nightingale continues. New York Mets starter Sean Manaea, barring unforeseen circumstances, will opt out of his contract and hit the free agent market from the third consecutive winter, putting him in line from a lucrative multi-year contract. Manaea signed a 2-year, $26 million contract in the offseason, but he can opt out of the remaining $13.5 million in 2025, making him a free agent for the third consecutive year. Now, consider me selfish, but I would love for Sean to re-sign with New York. He's beginning to be loved. He reminds me of why I became a Mets fan when I was a kid, probably for selfish reasons. I like the fact that Mets tend to have more of a diverse lineup personally. But if he has to go, if he has to get the money, I totally understand. Here is somebody that was supposed to be insulated. He was a hard number 3 or even number 4 by some projections, but he has been the most reliable. For some reason, we score more runs when David Peterson's on the mound, but who's been here from the beginning, barring, I think he made all of his starts, actually. It's been Sean Manaea. He should be rewarded handsomely for that. I know there is a big temptation to blow up the team and try to start over, or maybe take some elements that work and let a lot of guys go because there's a huge portion of the team on 1- and 2-year deals left remaining. But if you stick with Manaea, you may get Kodai Senga back, 1 or 2 other pitching options, and then you're already on easy street. So yes, please get that bag if you're Manaea, man. I would say that be the case. And of course, if there's any room left over, get that Juan Soto character. Hey, you've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Mets Digest. My name is Flobo Boyce. I'll be back next time with more Mets content. And of course, it's LJM to the better end.